What is your senses trying to tell you? Welcome to this reading. This is the second out of 5 readings I will do because we have 5 senses. I posted one the other day, and that was messages from your eyes or your vision. So this reading will be messages from your ears, or what do you need to hear, or is there something audience coming for you? This can be messages that you hear. This can be, of course, something that you hear on social media, on the news, something from someone you know, whatever this is. You know that sometimes you get some ringing in your ears, and of course someone maybe you have what is called tinnitus. That is a constant disturbance of sound within the ears. That is, of course, a damage. Now, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about sometimes you just have this, like it's a tune that is increasing and suddenly it's gone. No? Or maybe you suddenly hear someone say your name and there's no one there. I have experienced that many times. Yeah, so whatever this is, we'll see in the reading. Messages from your ears. So as you can see, as always, I've pulled out some oracle cards. This is to give me the direction of how this reading will turn out. Sometimes it's not easy and sometimes the message is quite clear. So what do you need to hear or message from your ears? As I said in the intro, if you hear ringing in your ears, or maybe a whisper of your name, or someone whispering, any type of message, and you are still alone, that is, of course, a confirmation. Now, I'm not talking about, as I said in the intro, like chronic hearing diseases. This is something that comes and goes and are not disturbing you in your everyday life. So have that in mind. Yes, let's see what you need to hear. Message from your ears. Dwelling in truth. I stand in the light of truth. Yes, you need to hear the truth. You need to listen to your inner voice. Listen to your inner voice. What is your inner voice telling you? What is your soul trying to tell you? Beloved one, I'm helping you with your spiritual soulmate relationship. Yes, this is the whispering in the ear, as I said. You suddenly hear someone saying your name and there is no one there, or you hear a message that you're not sure, did the person really say it, or was it something that of course you can ask twice, did you say what I think you said? but sometimes I've noticed that sometimes the mind interprets what other people say in some kind of weird way. No, like for example, when someone says a word that is similar to another word, you know, and they say one thing, and you think, oh my God, did the person say? What did this person mean? You know. So yeah, when you listen to your inner voice, or listen to the whisper in your ear, they're helping you with your spiritual awakening. Last, teaching and learning. Keep an open mind and learn new ideas. Then teach these ideas to others. This reminds me of, Helen Keller. Helen Keller is one that invented the sign language, right? So she was born both blind and deaf. And you know, in those days when you were born like that, they didn't see you worthy as a person, because you know, those days they were 100% in the need of all their senses, right? Especially hearing and especially seeing, right? And and of course walking. So in those days you were not worthy some kind of life if you didn't have you were looked at as dumb if you couldn't see and you couldn't hear. And still it isn't it still is some stigma about this until very, very recently, you know. My grandparents' generation and maybe also my parents' generation, when people didn't hear quite right, you know, they needed to use a hearing aid. I know that especially my mother-in-law, she keeps avoiding using her hearing aid, and it's very stupid of her, because she makes up, you know, she thinks she hears one thing and then she makes up her own interpretation of whatever you said, right? But if she had used her hearing aid, she would have heard exactly what you told her. But she uses it because she doesn't use it because she has been brought up with the convince that if you don't hear quite well, you are stupid, and of course it's a stigma that you are old, and she doesn't want to be old, but you know, it's a fact. And there are many children that are born deaf and are born blind. So with Helen Keller, she was the founder of sign language, and if she didn't, she was put in a home, right? If she wasn't blessed to meet, I think it was, I don't recall exactly the story, but she met a teacher at the home that she was put in that got to know her, and together they invented this this language. When you hold, especially if you're blind and deaf, you hold the other person's hand in your hand, and you do the sign language in the hand, and the other person feels, right? So this is absolutely amazing. So maybe you are meant, for some of you maybe are meant to work with children with hearing disabilities. Maybe you need to teach and learn how to hear without hearing, you know. Maybe some of you are starting to lose your sense of hearing. That is why I'm channeling into the hearing aid and being deaf. And I watched a movie with Richard Dreyfuss. He's an interesting actor, but never mind. I don't recall. It was Mr. What was it called? It was something Mr. Whatever Opus. You know, the thing about that was that he played music. A man who wanted to become a composer, and in the meantime he of course needed money, and then he took a course to become a teacher, and he started in a school to teach music, and he thought that in the meantime he would use his spare time, because you know they think that teachers have a lot of spare time. But first he was of course starting to teach music, and then he was applied to teach an orchestra, you know, to harmonize an orchestra, because they had a lot of plays at the school and they needed music. So then he started to orchestrate and ensemble the orchestra together, and harmonize them together, because they were far out, and some of them didn't play as well and they needed tutoring. So he put on some tutoring for those pupils after school. And then they asked him, oh, we need a marching band to get some more viewers to our football games, so etc., you know. So yeah, but the thing was that he got a son, and his son was born deaf, and it troubled him very, very much, because he was convinced that his son was not able to hear the music. So it was very interesting. Okay, let's move on. Yes, when you go inwards, you will hear the voice inside yourself. And when you hear your inner voice, you will go into flow. Yeah, you will hear the music. You will hear the music within yourself. Suddenly I heard, what was it called? Music sounds better with you. Who was that? Ooh, baby. Music sounds better with you. Okay. That was maybe your soulmate trying to sing to you. I don't know. Okay, consciousness. Yes, the Ace of Swords. When you're tuning in and listen to your inner voice, your consciousness will rise. And that is what happened to this Mr. Teacher. I would just call him Mr. Teacher because I forgot his name. But his consciousness raised when he finally understood that even if though his son was dead, he could actually sense, he could sense, you know, the beat. That is how deaf people sense, and that is what Helen Keller felt too, but she was both deaf and blind, and she sensed the sign language when the other person was doing the sign language on their hand, right? So the consciousness rise. Ooh. This is the Tower. When your consciousness rises because you're listening inward and you're realizing that you don't need to hear physically. You don't need to hear physically to tune into your inner voice. That is something magical happening. An epiphany, right? The light of truth. Yeah, the light of truth. When you listen to your inner voice, the light of truth, the lightning strikes you. And the last one, the Five of Wands. This is again like the trusting. We had the word of trust. Trust that even if you can't see, you can see. This is a stunt, as I've said before. This is a dangerous stunt. These two people need to trust each other 100. No, there are three. These three people need to trust each other 100%, and they have to practice. And that is also what you need to do if you need to learn sign language. You need to practice to get the hang of it, right? Don't give up. Okay, this is the Page of Wands. So yeah, Helen Keller. Once again, this is the last I will say. Helen Keller. They use this as a play, right? For her to learn and how and for her to communicate without words. So they used it. They used it in a playful way, right? And that is also what you have to do, because play a little bit with. Like me, I always hear suddenly a song within my mind, like just a minute ago, when I heard the music sounds better with you, right? That is a playfulness. And what the Mr. Teacher also did was to put in an engagement within the pupils. He asked them how they could relate, for example, popular music with classical music. So he did it in a playful teaching. So very interesting reading this message from the sense of hearing. Okay, I will stop there. I could go on and on and on. This was such an interesting reading. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this to the end. And yeah, have a nice day further on. And I see you again in another reading.